What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what just came out from Faraday itself, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Faraday's down 7.25%, $1.25 the low, $1.51 the high. And oddly enough, it did have a pre-market high of $1.69. And based on the news that came out, doesn't really justify it being green. So I think there's a lot of odd things happening with Faraday behind the scenes. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I know I haven't done that many recent ones, but my last video I said that we just have to wait and see what happens for May, just to see if they're on track and everything. But based on the news that did come out yesterday, goes to show that they're at least moving towards that and stuff is happening. But Faraday Future secures new $41 million funding commitment to advance Faraday X and AI strategic upgrades. So I've stated in the past that they need roughly between like 100 to 150 million just to get the sub brand pretty much off the ground. And for the most part, they did 30 million in September, 30 million in December, and then of course just now this 41. So most likely they will need another round in May. And at the end of the day, though, this is kind of what they're doing every 2 months, but they're still really relying on SPAs, and that is going to be very troublesome down the line with all the convertible kind of instruments to it or aspects to it. But nonetheless, though, there's one thing that was stated within this new SPA that does signal that the investors are running out of patience. So starting off, this is the 8K that they did put out, and on a side note, that's what Faraday calls them, is investors. They're just kind of the note holders and recipients of the preferred stock and stuff, but nonetheless, though, I highlighted it, so this is kind of the actual addition that this SPA does have that previous ones don't, and it has a stipulation that Faraday needs to stay above $1. So ultimately, the investors are worried about a reverse stock split becoming deficient with the NASDAQ rulings. So it is a very sticky scenario. With it being at $1.28, you might see some artificial price action occurring just to keep Faraday above $1. And for those of you that have taken the time to read through a lot of these warrants and the terms and conditions of a lot of that, this is why you do obviously have spikes up, because there is a certain level of dilution occurring. But at the end of the day, though, them adding this stipulation, like I said, is very troublesome. It goes to show that they're trying to cover their bases, and this is a 4 series kind of payment, so it shows that it's going to be paid over, I think, 4 periods or something like that. Can't remember exactly where it is in here that states that, but nonetheless, that they did that just to, again, if Faraday does dip below $1, they can kind of hold back the remaining 3, remaining 2, or whatever other kind of payments are set. So at the end of the day, it is Faraday's doing something, but as I've mentioned in the past, I think it just might be a little bit too late. On a side note, I'm pleasantly surprised because I did state that Faraday was going to be doing a reverse stock split in Q1, so I'm pleasantly surprised I was wrong about that. But still, nonetheless, with it being where it is at this stage in the game, so currently $1.29, it is definitely still not out of danger, but a little bit more positive, I think, given the circumstances. There was also another good piece of news that did come out, and that was right here. So it goes to show that they did appoint this individual right here, so Jerry Wang, and I believe he was part of this previous pre-existing agreement that they did have as a consulting agreement with FFGP. So it looks like this individual, Mr. Wang, was the president of that same kind of entity right there. So makes sense. Instead of just having that consulting agreement, why not just take an employee from there and obviously bring them over? That makes the most logical sense at the end of the day. So let me know your viewpoint on this. I do feel at the same time Faraday's done a lot of these types of PRs where it just shows that they appointed this individual, but yet, like, that's all we hear. And so far, a lot of those hires in the past, I think that A, majority of them have been already laid off, so I think their news was just fluff, or B, we like what they're hired for doesn't actually do all that much, or it doesn't come to fruition. So I think Faraday is just really bad at managing, but what do I know, right? So let me know your thoughts on Faraday. What's your thoughts on this new SPA? Do you think that this is needed? Do you think that this is going to really prompt a push lower? And yeah, so what's your general thoughts on all of that in the comments below? And for those of you that have been kind of dabbling with options, you do see a lot of higher volume getting in. So 154,000 in calls, 128,000 in puts. 57% of all the options being done today are optimistic in nature. So you are seeing a little bit more, I guess, volume getting in, which is kind of a positive thing. Looking at the shorts though, they're not really doing all that much. 24.76% at the free float is being shorted, works out to be 16.58 million shares. Ever since the ticker change, Ortex has been rather delayed with updating the short interest for whatever reason. But I believe from, I guess, yesterday, 24.76%. So do you think that Faraday is a squeeze play? Do you think that it is kind of just overdone? What's your general thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And then one final thing, if you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.